So I'm going to call on the support of the ancestors. This is a chant in Proto-Celtic, which I learnt from one of my spiritual teachers, Carolyn Hillier, who's going to be teaching here tomorrow. I light this candle to honour the ancestors. I light this candle to honour the beings who are here and now, in the seen and the unseen. I light this candle to honour the descendants and the ones yet to come. The title of my talk is Ritual is a Revolutionary Action. And I said in my blurb that I would talk about how to access imagination to liberate across space and time. It's quite a bold claim for a 15-minute talk. So I hope I can do it justice. A little bit about me is that when I was at university, I studied politics. And I went to university to study politics because I could really see and feel the suffering that was in the world. And it was having a really big effect on me. And I went to study politics because I wanted to be a change maker. And I wanted to learn about the systems that exist in the world and how I could subvert and change these systems. I thought if I learned about the systems that I was seeing as oppressive and limiting, I could find the ways to transform them into systems that would be liberating and connecting. So I was very optimistic when I went to university that this was going to happen and that I was going to become a change maker through this process. But what happened was I finished my degree and I'd done that 3 years learning about all these systems, and I felt more angry and despairing and helpless than ever. I felt really overwhelmed, and I knew that politics wasn't going to be the way for me to make change in the world. And I didn't know how I was going to make change in the world, but I knew that I still wanted to. So I went off on a quest of discovery to find my purpose and how I was going to be a part of change. And along my way, I found ritual. And I was immediately captivated as soon as I did ritual. And as I was practicing more and more, I realised this transformative power of ritual and how it made me feel personally more empowered to engage in the world. When I was practicing ritual, it gave me a sense of hope and connection. So I thought, I'm not going to be able to make change through politics, but I think that I can start to make change through magic. When I was at university, I'd learned about this concept, which is the circle of concern and the circle of influence. And I realised that my circle of concern was really, really big. I was concerned about everything. I was concerned about sexism, racism, homophobia, ableism, classism, the list goes on and on. So my concern was big and overwhelming and heavy. And my circle of influence was really small. I just had a few friends and a few family members. And I was told that in order to make these gaps smaller, you had to have a positive mind state. And the bigger gap was a reactive mind state. But I wasn't told how to get a positive mind state. So when I encountered ritual and spirituality and the Dharma, I started to get these tools for how to have a positive mind state. And I realised when I used my imagination and I went into ritual space, my circle of concern was like this bit in the Heart Sutra. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Because it was the paradox. The circle of concern suddenly dissolved and was emptiness, because it was encompassing everything and it was also empty. And the other side of that paradox is that my circle of concern just became love. So it was very small and solid. My only concern was love. And obviously from love we have liberation and truth and generosity, kindness, but they could all boil down to love. Sorry, I'm just going to have some water. So through accessing my imagination and using ritual, my circle of concern had dissolved into emptiness, and also it had solidified into pure love. And my circle of influence had expanded, because in ritual, you can call on all beings everywhere, just like I've done here. Sadly, these candles have blown out. May the spirit still be here. So when I step into ritual space, I can open myself beyond time and space. I can call in the ancestors and all the ones that have gone before me. I can call on all beings everywhere in the here and now, and I can call on the descendants and everyone yet to come. So in ritual space, I can say, may all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. So suddenly, via ritual, I had this practical and magical tool to feel connected to everything. And I was no longer in this overwhelm of feeling heavy with all my concerns and helpless because I had very little influence. My concerns shifted and my influence shifted. So I found ritual very, very empowering, and I was seeing changes in myself and also with the ones around me. So just to note that when you first start engaging with ritual, you might have some resistance. It might feel weird. You might just not want to, or be like, oh, ritual's not for me, I don't really like it. And those resistances could potentially come from how ritual has historically been seen in the world, and particularly in these lands. Because in the not too distant past, many, many people were ostracized from their communities and also faced a lot of violence and murder through witchcraft. So we've got this ancestral memory that magic is dangerous. So when we're going into ritual space, we might have this body memory of ritual and magic being dangerous. So you have to be quite tender with yourself and build the muscle of imagination and build the muscle of accessing ritual. And also culturally, we still have this message that ritual is dangerous. A lot of the way ritual is seen in the mainstream world is through horror movies. So people watch horror movies about ritual and they see violence and they see sacrifice and they see burnings. And so when I tell people, I'm a ritual coordinator, they have all sorts of thoughts in their head about what it is that I might be doing. When actually I'm mostly lighting candles, banging drums and sending out love to all beings everywhere. But just awareness that when you first start engaging with ritual, you will have some resistance because of ancestral, historical beliefs and experiences, and also cultural narratives that still exist now. So I think ritual is a revolutionary action because we're reclaiming these practical and magical tools of transformation from systems of oppression that have violently taken them away from us. So to reclaim that, it's very powerful and potent. And also people who are in power and privilege are still practicing rituals. And I saw this very, very clearly recently with the King's coronation. And I don't know if any of you watched it, but this was a mass ritual. There were ritual objects. This stone was brought down from Scotland, the stone of destiny. And he sat on the stone of destiny and became our monarch and our sovereign of this land. So people who have power and privilege are still doing rituals because they know it works and they know that it transforms energy and experience. On this day, people across the country and across the world were invited to say a set of words. So people all at home were affirming the sovereign power through saying these words in this big ritual. So on this day, I said some words to claim my own sovereign power, and I encouraged all those around me to use that time and that energy that was being cultivated to reclaim their own sovereign power. So I think ritual is revolutionary because we're bringing power back to the people. We're healing wounds from the past. We're healing cultural wounds that still exist. And ritual is practical and magical and active. Ritual also can affirm patterns in the body and therefore in the consciousness that we're connected to. We can express things and embody things in ritual that we might not yet fully have in our bodies. And then we can feel it in ritual, and then it can ripple out to our everyday through repetition. So I would invite you, with all of this in mind, to just start bringing ritual into your everyday and build it up. Build up the imaginal muscle through the practical tool of ritual. So when you light a candle, you could call in deities or spirits or ancestors. When you have a cup of tea, you could speak an affirmation for yourself, and then you could drink down and embody the words that have been spoken out. When you have a bath, you could sprinkle in some choice herbs that you could then embody the energy of those plants that you've brought into your bathtub. So, just encouraging everyone to start to reclaim ritual for yourself and feel the transformative power of this practical and magical tool. And I was going to blow out the candles, but they're already blown out. So instead, I will say, giving gratitude to the ancestors.
Giving gratitude to the ancestors.
Giving gratitude to the ones in the here and now, seen and unseen. Giving gratitude to the descendants and the ones yet to come.
Giving gratitude